Okay. Yeah, looks live.
I believe it's alive. It's alive.
Yeah. You want to start it?
Yes. All right. Salutations, Legion of Doom. Welcome to the podcast The Storm, where socially awkward outcasts, crazy weirdos, and all-around nerds convene to talk and debate all things pop culture. With me is my co-host, the nerdy occultist, Dalton L. Mortimer, a.k.a. theAuthenticator.
Hello, all.
With us is the enigmatic comic book enthusiast, Mr.2099.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
And joining our little menagerie of misfits is the adorable dork, the NerdWonder.
I don't know how I got here, but I'm here.
And I'm your host, / Time Lord wannabe, the brainstormer of pop culture. And hello, Eric Breen.
I crawled under a chair. That's how I got here.
Why are you
My
whispering?
chair. And one of yours?
Great.
All right, so first topic of the day is, well, Dalton and Mr. E, I think you can tell NerdWonder, like, vouch for this, is that I'm doing, like, a little fan edit of Justice League.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I've been, because we have all seen, I'm assuming we've all seen Justice League, correct?
Yeah, that's why everybody keeps screaming, give us the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Give us the Snyder Cut.
Well, in this case, I think it's more like the Stormer cut. But
Snyder Cut!
I'm just doing my own thing. I got a couple clips to show you. I am going to have to
the
stop
Snyder
it.
Cut?
Oh, no, I'm not doing the Snyder Cut because, well...
Found it?
Hmm?
Found it? Where was
No.
it? Was it under his couch?
Yes, I broke into Zack Snyder's house. I didn't find anything. I did find a batarang, though, but nothing else.
I'm amazed you didn't find like a 20-candle shrine to Ayn Rand with how Zack Snyder thinks.
I did
It's like
find
90% of the
If you
problem with most
go
of his
to
superhero
Tim
movies, too, is his
Burton's-
stupid objectivist bullshit.
If you go to Tim Burton's house and you go into his cellar, you'll find Sarah Rhoda Carter and Johnny Depp tied up down there. Somebody please let them out.
What Tim
and set them
Burton
free.
does with his free time on his weekends is no business of anybody but Tim Burton. And the people that
I mean, like, I found, like,
And Hot Topic.
I think I also passed by a room full of heavy metal comics. All right, so first clip is the opening, because I redid the... I'm going to be honest, it's actually kind of hard to make this movie kind of good, because I'm keeping with the skeleton of it, like the plot and stuff. I'm just adding more meat to the potatoes.
It's going to be kind of hard when you only have the released version to deal with and not everything
I'm
else.
adding like extra footage and footage from other movies and stuff, so... completely recoloring it, because I think the color of it was very muted.
Mhm.
you're trying to Frankenstein something salvageable out of this goddamn movie.
Well, it was already a Frankenstein before I did something with it. Okay. There we go. All right. Yeah, this is the opener.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
You just keep pretending I'm your son.
You are my son.
Okay. That's the first 20 seconds. Anything to say? Okay.
It's good. I like the black and white.
Yeah, it actually helps that Man of Steel has like really great writing. So if I turn it into black and white, it does look pretty good.
Almost as though it was already a gray, joyless thing that you only just now brought proper contrast to.
I actually didn't dislike Man of Steel. I saw the problems for it, but I did enjoy it.
See, I think it's the worst of the DC movies so far.
Yeah,
And
okay.
hopefully
So
the worst altogether, if we're lucky.
I obviously know the problems with it, and yeah, it does mishandle Superman's character. I won't deny that. I think it does. The moments where it's with a young Clark Kent on Kent Farm and stuff, those scenes I really do enjoy.
I do genuinely think it would be better if it was just told in chronological order instead of jump cut all around like it fucking was Memento or something.
Yeah. See, well, I think I would also blame Christopher Nolan for how poorly the movies have been up until this point, because they were really trying to emulate him.
Yeah, and if he hadn't been such a stickler for his own artistic vision back in the Dark Knight days, they could have gotten this DC cinematic universe launched at the end of Dark Knight Rises. But he specifically said he didn't want any other superpowered beings in the Dark Knight universe. So he was like, no, you can't use this incredibly successful franchise to launch your cinematic universe ahead of Marvel.
Okay. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but I added like a cinematic scope ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for some, when I watch the original like clips and stuff of the movie, it just looks weird to me. Like the screen looks weird to me.
I do like that you added the death of Superman at the end. There's kind of a contrast between him being a young kid and him giving his life as a hero. Though I will never understand why he didn't just throw the damn spear.
Dramatic purposes. You know, probably after I'm done with my Justice League thing, when I have it just right, I might just go back and edit both. Because I've seen a couple of editors do this where they edit both Man of Steel and Batman v Superman together. I might try something like that. I might do my own style of BVS or redo the title. So yeah, NerdWonder, you got anything to say? I think she has disappeared for a moment.
I think she might be busy with something.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on because we got like 4 minutes of this stuff. Well, we got some time. Girl, don't lie to me. Okay, so again, like we know that the original song for the opening was a cover of Everybody Knows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like that song. It felt weird to me. Like it just didn't feel like it what's the word? It didn't really match what the film was trying to do.
It didn't resonate with the themes, I think is what you're looking for there.
So a couple things, just one thing, I had to kind of slow down the actual opening of Justice League.
Also, did you change the color grading? Because it looks better than
I painstakingly went through each frame and changed the color.
Thank fucking God. The color grading on the early DC movies was awful.
Yeah, I completely redid the whole thing. Like, I'm up to the point where they're resurrecting Superman, so... Yeah. But yeah, I redid it, the whole color grading, and I redid the song. And like I said, I completely slowed down the clip a little bit just so it can match the song, because the song is about, like, 3 whole minutes, and the opening's like maybe 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And this song is called "In the Pines." It's a cover version, I believe, and I think it has more weight, dramatic weight to it. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed at first, but I had to, for some reason, I couldn't, because I downloaded. I don't have like the movie itself of Justice League, so I downloaded clips from YouTube.
You can buy the movie.
Huh? No, I didn't hear you.
The movie's been on sale for a while. How come you didn't just buy the movie? In order to get more material.
Well, I don't know how to like convert a DVD onto a computer. So I know how to do this better.
All right.
Yeah.
Most movies today come with like digital copies, though. You could do that. Could have done it that way. Get the digital copy and then download that and then do it.
Yeah, I could have. I didn't think of it because I had no idea I could do that until now. So thank you for that. But yeah, so there's like this little, like without the aspect ratio, there's this little sign from the channel that they put on the top corner. That's another reason why I put the aspect ratio. But if you notice that the aspect ratio had to go a little shorter here because there's like the text from the opening.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to like kind of change it up a little bit. That's pretty much it. Yeah, so color grading. Because I feel like since it's a comic book movie, it should have more color to it and not goddamn muted bullshit that it was.
Movies in general should have more color, unless you have a genuine like thematic or like aesthetic reason to alter the color grading. Just leave it alone to natural lighting, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I show you the Wonder Woman. Well, the thing is, though, I kind of upped the saturation to 200, which is like the max on Adobe Premiere, which is the software I use.
Right, because you want the colors to like stand out because it's not a grim, dark universe. It's a
comic book universe. Yeah.
Well, not just that. It's a universe where day-to-day things happen, and in general, you don't want a completely natural lighting setup. Otherwise, everything looks washed out. Because that is something I've noticed with movies that do actually like independent movies that have natural lighting in them. Without any color adjustment, it looks washed out and doesn't actually look organic because the actual camera takes a lot of the lighting out.
Right. I've actually done like some short films that have like I never really understood the. Keep in mind, I'm like a rookie when it comes to filmmaking so far. I would usually film stuff indoors, and I didn't have like lighting and stuff, and it looked terrible. I won't lie. Okay.
Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines where the sun never shines. You shiver the whole night.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, like the song itself is supposed to. I think the song does. It works better when I'm using.
I like the song.
Yeah. I think it gives a more gravitas to the whole thing. Like, because I didn't really feel like the world mourned Superman with the original opening with that song.
Yeah.
It just felt
in fairness, they didn't really have much reason to because he spent most of Man of Steel moping and not actually doing superhero things.
Okay, just to make clear, if I were like there were different like I'm trying to get the scenes where I would have done them if I was directing them. Like there's a scene like there will be a scene I'll show you guys later after this one. It's a Cyborg introduction scene.
Yeah.
And I did some things that, but yeah, I'm just basically doing the movie how I would have done it. But there are obviously like I'm limited with the footage I got. All right. But yeah, again, like you notice, it coloring looks a lot better.
Did you filter it?
Yeah, I put like an adjustment layer on it, and then I had to go through like different filters to see which would work better. Look,
Yeah.
and I have to write it all down because my mind won't remember it, and so I have like, and it's also a pain in the ass when I'm doing like scenes that go back and forth from different locations. Because I have to make sure like they line like the layers of adjustment line up perfectly.
Right.
So,
I don't know if this works the same way with videos as it does with pictures, but when I'm adjusting the pictures I use for my videos, I usually put more than one filter on them by taking a picture of the picture after it's been filtered once and then putting a different filter on it a second time. I don't know if that would work with video, like you could download that video and then put a second layer of filtering over it, but
yeah, I barely understand how to edit videos. Like this is me and my basic
yeah,
understanding.
in future though, maybe try that because maybe you can get more like visual contrast out of it if you put whatever filter looks best on it in like phase one and then downloading it and
Well,
then
keep in
putting
mind
another filter over it.
well, keep in mind that the stuff I'm showing you right now is also probably like the first draft of my movie, like my first edit.
Right. No, I'm just saying like that's a trick I use for my pictures when I'm doing my videos, so maybe
Yeah.
it'll work
Well,
a similar way with video.
I'll keep that in mind. I want to like a part of me really wants to play it whole way through just to, but obviously copyright bullshit. Even though this is on my own computer and I.
Well, you can always abide by the 20-second rule.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I am doing that. It's just feel like it feels like I'm giving you guys only small bits and pieces every time, and you're not like seeing the whole thing through.
It's basically like a honey badger rant dorker.
Okay, no idea what that is, but okay.
I'll send you some links later. It'll make more sense.
Okay.
My daddy was a ram, killed them all in the house one
So yeah, like I said, like I had to slow the clip itself, like the original opening itself, down to maybe like 75%, which I think you don't really notice because the actual opening itself is also slowed down to a point.
Honestly, it looks better that way because it gives it a little bit more ambiance. In fact, it kind of reminds me of the opening credits of Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually considering using that song. God damn it, I can't remember it.
Bob Dylan's Times Are Changing.
Yeah, because I've seen other people do that for Justice League edits.
And the times they are a change.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, like color and slowing it down, and like again, like the song, I think works a lot better because, like, how do you feel when you're watching this? I guess is my question
Um,
with like the music and stuff.
guess definitely gives you more of a sad feeling.
Yeah.
his was found in the dry. His body was never found. In the pines.
So yeah. Again, like you can totally notice the obvious difference because it's like in the original, it's super like muted and gray, right? Yeah.
Grim dark.
Yeah. And like if you notice, like when I also saturate it, and this I've shown like a couple friends of mine this too. They've said like the shadows become more intense, which is obviously what happens when you saturate anything. That the colors become more intense.
To be fair, even Marvel struggled with color grading, especially on their more like street level movies. Like,
yeah. I've
even
seen
the
that.
Russo brothers struggle with that from time to time. So it's not like it's an uncommon problem.
Yeah. Well, see the thing I've always like when I've looked back upon every single one. Main problem I've had is that the skin of the characters either comes off as kind of yellowish or like too. It looks weird.
Or so unnaturally white they might as well be elves in like a J.R.R. Tolkien story.
I actually haven't had that problem yet. But yeah, like the thing I like though is that with Lois Lane, her hair pops more than in the original movie. That's just a little that's just a little detail I noticed. I think it looks a lot better.
Her skin color looks a little bit more blushed too, which is nice. It goes a lot with her outfit color.
Yeah. I actually did try to create my own original opening for the Justice League movie, but it always kind of looked It looked And that was a pain in the ass to edit too, because I had to place every name and stuff down, and I had to choose what names will be in the opening, like from cast and crew and stuff. I figured I'd just go with the original.
Shiver the whole night through. You've caused me to weep. You've caused me to mourn.
Yeah. It's weird. Okay. I don't know what was up with that for a second. But yeah, like I said, it's a pain in the ass to make sure every color is working right. Like, if it doesn't like bleed onto other scenes, because I didn't like cut each scene. I like had put the scene itself.
Yeah, shot composition is a pain in the ass and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just had to make sure the color grading, like the layers I put on top of the actual clip, didn't like, because I ran into that problem sometimes. I would catch it after I'd exported and was done with it. The clip itself, like it would just look weird. Like at one point, it would look like the color, like one scene when it cut to one other scene, it would look like the color from the previous scene, and then switch to the scene, its own color scheme. If that makes any sense. I don't remember what color grading I put on this, but I liked it enough to. I think I also like upped the exposure level for this scene.
Yeah, you did. You can tell kind of with the way the colors meld with each other.
I was talking about the lighting from the blinds. But yeah.
You cause me to lose my heart. Oh girl, where'd you sleep last night? Not even your mind.
Okay. You see, I like because I actually didn't plan on that part of the song, like where it says you.
You cause me to lose
And it cuts to Martha Kent because you know what happens with her. Like it'll show it, obviously. I'm just like sometimes I don't even like when I'm editing stuff. Sometimes I don't even. It's just dumb luck that it happens. Like like a cut matches to a song cue. You know.
Did I say something?
Yeah.
All this footage is from the original opening?
Huh?
All this footage is from the original opening?
Yes.
All right. One of the things I didn't like about Justice League is how much time they spent in the beginning about the aftermath of the death of Superman. I mean, that was what the entire ending, or at least the ending of what Batman v Superman was about. I feel like they should have just acknowledged it and then moved on to what was going on. I just felt like there was too much unnecessary time mourning the loss of Superman.
Well, I think it's also. I think the opening was also supposed to show that how the world's become kind of chaotic since Superman died.
I think that when you think about it, Superman wasn't that a part of the world for that long. Like he really wasn't. For the world to all of a sudden just lose hope now that this guy is gone is kind of ridiculous.
Well, I also think it's a bad. It's a bad faith effort on the part of the DC executives because everyone always overestimates the importance of Superman. So, of course, they're going to treat Superman like he's a dead messiah because we had to put all that Jesus imagery into Man of Steel.
Even though technically he is a metaphor for Moses.
Yeah, which is itself kind of annoying that they don't know that, but more to the point, people always act as though Superman is the end all and be all of superpowered
the
beings.
Moses metaphor is really not that accurate because in the end, Moses ended up turning against the people who adopted him.
I didn't know.
No, he's right because the name Moses actually is a shortened version of Ramses, because he was actually named by the Pharaoh's daughter when she adopted him. The name Moses is a shortened version of Ra-Moses, which is the Egyptian or a slightly more accurate Egyptian translation of Ramses.
Okay.
And he ditched the Ra part when he went into exile, obviously, because, you know, pagan deity.
Huh.
Didn't want to be associated with it any longer.
Okay. I don't know, you learn something new every day. But I'm kind of also changing up the kind of plot structure. I mean, like, I have to keep with the original plot of it. With the movie, you know, like Steppenwolf, the 3 boxes, all that. I have a prologue before the opening, which is Steppenwolf invading Themyscira.
Yeah.
Which I think made.
So you're kind of going the Lord of the Rings route of the backstory sort of narrated montage before the action starts.
No, I'm doing the scene where Steppenwolf invades Themyscira. You know, he grabs the mother box and like he already has. So it's kind of inferring that he already has one mother box, and the rest.
Oh, I thought you were talking about moving the
flashback.
Right.
The backstory montage to the beginning, kind of like Lord of the Rings.
I was thinking about that, but I don't know. Like that scene also has an interaction between Bruce and.
Yeah, but no. What I'm saying is cut around that and use the audio kind of like they do with Galadriel's speech at the beginning of Lord of the Rings.
All right. I'll probably do that for the next draft of it, just because I'm already so dug in with this one.
I gotta say, DC's kind of made a big mistake in the exposition war between everybody on Earth versus Steppenwolf the first time, because they introduced the concept of Green Lanterns, and we're going like almost 3 movies past Justice League, and still no mention of the Green Lantern Corps.
I actually cut that part out. I mean, like I have it alluded to with Steppenwolf killing the Green Lantern, but that's pretty much it. Like I don't have it. I don't have Diana mention allies from other worlds. It's more of kind of. I'm technically having it more of as an Easter egg itself.
Yeah.
I'd leave it in because there's no reason they shouldn't be there. It's just the problem of DC having mismanaged everything.
They had no plan. We all know that they had no actual plan.
I mean, in the trailer, they have Steppenwolf saying, "No Kryptonians, no lanterns." I think if they had put that in the movie instead of an actual Green Lantern, that would have been a better way to tease the existence of the Corps.
I actually put that in too, at one point. Another thing is that I took out the whole Mother Box as being Steppenwolf's mom because that went nowhere. So yeah, let's get 2 minutes and we got another 2 minutes.
Also, they never explained how Lex Luthor knows about Darkseid because that was what he was yelling about in
Wasn't it? That was a deleted scene for BVS, right? The communion scene.
Yeah, something. The downloading of knowledge from the Kryptonian ship's computer gave him the ability to understand Darkseid.
He also communicated with Steppenwolf at the that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm adding that scene in too, and just you'd have to see it for you to understand because I don't think I can really explain it best. I'm probably gonna, and if I do go back and edit, BVS, I'll probably add that scene in back too, because that scene probably should have been in.
Also, can you recast Lex Luthor?
I actually do have him recast in like my fan, my fan rewrites of the DC.
You know what? I will defend Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor, because I know what they were trying to go for. What they were trying to go for was Golden Age mad scientist Lex Luthor is what they were going for.
But they said they wanted to try. They also were trying to do like a very realistic stuff with the whole universe.
Yeah, they were doing the businessman angle. So what they decided to do was, hey, let's get that kid who played Mark Zuckerberg in the Social Network movie, and we'll have him be like a Steve Jobs-esque billionaire, and also we'll make him have red hair because nods to Golden Age, and also have his personality be like a Golden Age mad scientist.
See, I also
they were trying to do.
I also agree with you, Dalton. I think it's just that he was handed a poor script.
You want to know the really ironic thing, though, is he originally was supposed to be reading for the part of Jimmy Olsen, and then he was such an asshole to the guy who was interviewing him for the part of Jimmy Olsen. The director was just like, hey, let's get that kid to play Lex Luthor. But
like I said, I probably like Mark Strong. I know he's playing like the
Dr. Sivana.
Thank you, Dr. Sivana in Shazam. I think he would have made a perfect one, and I'm working on that. I'm working on writing that.
See, personally, if I was gonna put Mark Strong in anywhere, I would put him as Constantine in a Guy Ritchie directed Constantine movie. But obviously, that's not going to happen now because he's been Dr. Sivana already. But
they could do alternate universes or something. I don't know.
Let's not bring in the multiverse. They can barely get one universe off the ground. Let's give them an entire multiverse to fuck up, please. Fuck.
Okay. Anything else to add before we move on?
No, I'm good.
Don?
No, I'm fine. Proceed.
So, I'm not sure if you guys caught this, but it says music by Danny Elfman and various. I added the and various because I'm like I said, I'm restoring the whole film because I feel like a lot of times the music either doesn't punch or there's points where it needs music, but there isn't music.
Clarkson.
Yeah, and again, this isn't a problem specifically with the DCEU. This is a problem with all of Hollywood. Movie themes are not movie themes anymore. Like there's no pomp or circumstance about any movie themes anymore, and it's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
His middle name is Joseph. I thought his middle name was John.
Huh. I don't know. I think it is. I think it's always been Joseph. I'm not like I haven't checked a lot of Superman's. I haven't read a lot of Superman, so I won't know. But like I said, like again with the color grading, if you notice that, and if I were to pull up the original scene, which I probably could, is that the colors here pop a little more. All right. And for the record, I'm using a bunch of music from all over. I'm using stuff from the Daredevil soundtrack, from the series, not the Ben Affleck movie. I'm using a lot of Hans Zimmer work and Junkie XL stuff too.
It would be extremely ironic if you used the Ben Affleck Daredevil soundtrack, considering that Ben Affleck is also in this movie.
Yeah, I know. Like I was gonna make a joke about it, but I was thinking someone else would too. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm rescoring the whole stuff.
Where the sun never shines. Shiver when the cold.
I think yeah. So this is like the whole. I think this is the Smallville. Like when I write stuff, when I write for the color gradings, I write the like if it's all going to take place in one location, but in different places of those locations, then I write just the location itself, and then I just so I can go back and stuff. And I like this color grading a lot because it can work for either day or night. Either way, it makes like stuff pop. Okay, so I have to stop broadcasting this content. Apparently.
What happened?
I got a message saying I have to stop presenting this content.
YouTube has foreboding things.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to stop there. Which sucks.
This is YouTube in the current year, folks. You can't even broadcast something that you've edited to hell.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh no, what did you guys think?
I think you were a better steward of the material than were the original filmmakers, which is sad.
Well, I don't blame the filmmakers. I'm gonna blame studio interference and stuff. I mean, like,
yeah, DC, the studio has really been its own worst supervillain for a long while now. But it seems like they are finally getting their shit together. Maybe finally, because Shazam is sitting at 94% critic score wise. Last I checked it, which was like right before I came out, and it was like 94.
Okay. Well, shame though, because I did think we wanted to talk about the scene that came after, with the two guys, and the store with the two Middle Eastern people.
Hmm.
In the bank, you mean, or am I thinking of a different scene?
I think you're thinking of a different scene.
Okay. Because I was thinking of the bank robbery scene where Wonder Woman does Wonder Woman things.
That's the scene that comes after the opening. And I use like I use some Aquaman music for that, for some of that scene. The Black Manta theme. Thought that was a good theme. But yeah, I'm basically just like I'm keeping this. Bless you.
Sorry.
That's fine. I'm keeping like the skeleton of the movie, whole plot. I'm just adding, like I say this a lot. I'm adding more meat to the potatoes, or trying to at least.
Unfortunately, the cow you have to work with has been starved and emaciated for 3 months.
It's been more like 2 years.
I was trying to adjust the time scale to work within the confines of the metaphor, but oh well.
Yeah. Maybe after the stream I can show you guys it, because I'm pretty sure it's just YouTube itself.
Yeah, it's just YouTube copyright shenanigans.
Yeah. Total bullshit. Fuck YouTube. Wait, can I say that?
Well, we'll know in about 5 seconds, assuming this entire stream isn't dropped and we don't get hauled off to the Google Gulag.
Okay, so I guess we'll just move on to topic 2, which is the Bumblebee movie and Bayformers in general. So I'm assuming you guys have seen Bumblebee, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
I haven't.
the
I
best
actually,
Transformers movie, aside from maybe Pacific Rim.
I actually haven't seen it, but I know of it, so you guys can. I know the stuff that happens in it, so you can talk freely about it. Just give me the opinions of it, and then we'll move on to like talking of your opinions of Bayformers and stuff.
It's good. It's sad that it took them 6 Transformers movies to make an actual good one,
I thought it was
not just
5.
a passable one.
I think it's 5 movies before, or you counting Bumblebee too?
6 counting Bumblebee.
Okay,
was where I was going with that.
You got anything? E?
Okay, the fuck? Now we've lost E too. That's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the subject of Michael Bay collectively raping our childhoods.
Well, I think the first one's okay.
The first one is passable by the standards of the year it came out in.
Yeah.
And
we did lose E.
okay, maybe my joke about us all being hauled off to the Google Gulag was not as much of a joke. Maybe it fit more into the funny because it's true moniker than I thought.
Huh.
Oh dear.
Well, let's just give it a few minutes, then we'll worry.
But anyway, yeah, the first one is passable by the standards of the year it came out in.
2007, right?
I want to say it was 2007. It might have been 2009 though. I know the sequel didn't come out until like what, 2011.
I thought it was 2009. It came out like Revenge of the Fallen.
Okay, that's maybe I've got all the years mixed up. I didn't actually mind Revenge of the Fallen much more than the first one.
Robot balls.
Huh?
Robot balls.
Well, it's Michael Bay. The man has the man has his adolescence so stunted that even Seth MacFarlane in the worst elements of Family Guy is going, dude, you need to grow the fuck up now.
I don't think Seth MacFarlane is that immature.
Well, that's why I prefaced it with the during the worst elements of Family Guy.
So current?
Everything post Brian's death there and resurrection. Because of course.
Okay.
Also, what the fuck happened to that character? Complete sidebar, but what the fuck happened to that character?
Brian?
Yeah.
I think he's becoming stupider or something. I don't know.
Honestly,
I'm not like a big Family Guy fan, so
yeah, but complete sidebar though. Like, honestly, before when Quagmire was getting all hot under the collar about all the stupid shit Brian did, we were supposed to think that he was overreacting and being an asshole. But now it's like, no, maybe Quagmire was onto something the whole time, and we just didn't see it. Or maybe the writers got so lazy they forgot they were supposed to be satirizing themselves with that, and just were like, let's make the satire real because reasons.
okay.
Stupid. Anyway, yeah. Michael Bay does not know how to direct. Well, let's just say I have seen exactly 3 decent movies that Michael Bay was involved with. One was Pain and Gain, one was The Rock, and I can't remember even what the third one was. I guess 3 counting the original Transformers. But the man does not know how to do nerd shit. And what's worse is he is exactly that kind. He's the Bill Maher style smug elitist Hollywood hack, which is to say, not only does he crap all over geek shit, but he'll cynically take advantage of geek shit for the sake of making money without ever taking the time to understand why geek shit was important to begin with.
Hey, don't. He sent me a message like 2 minutes ago saying like something happened with his browser. He'll try and fix it. He'll try to be back with us soon.
He'll be back. Okay, good. But yeah, it's not like you or I. It's not like you and I have difficulty maintaining a stream. It's just kind of annoying when we start with 2 guests and then they drop like fucking 5.
What's that say about? I think that says something about. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah. So anyway. So I didn't. So my whole thing was I didn't. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would say that they didn't like Shia LaBeouf. I think he was okay in the first film.
Okay, this is the thing with Shia LaBeouf. He was really, really good in the Disney Channel original show Even Stevens. Why he has a career after that show, do not ask me, for I do not know.
Okay, so I don't really think he's bad. I just I think he went a little crazy because like most child actors do.
Well, yeah, but like the only like actually decent role I've ever seen him in is in a movie he was in right after the end of Even Stevens, which was book adaptation. Holes. Holes is what it was called.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I like that. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, that movie is good, and he's good in it because he kind of plays a loser in it. For whatever reason, though, Hollywood has decided to constantly like put him in like sympathetic sidekick or leading man roles, and it's just like, okay, he's not. I don't know why you keep framing him like he's a total badass, but he's not a total badass. Please get the fuck over yourself.
Okay, so we've kind of talked about that. The overemphasis with military, like, okay, so here's the thing, like, I've said enough that I'm an American. I cut open a vein. I bleed red, white, and blue.
Yeah, Morica.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah. So my whole thing is, I think they did like Michael Bay over relied too much on the military. Like I understand the use. Like it would make a lot of sense that the
military would be involved if aliens suddenly got dumped on our collective cultural doorstep.
Yeah, but I
But-
think he either overused them or Let's-
Here's the thing with Michael Bay, and there are two elements of this that I've noticed. Number one is that he himself seems to be that kind of a slack-jawed jock dumbass.
he's not even a fan of the
Second
original
element of it, though, and I
Transformers.
think this element's more insidious, is he genuinely thinks the populace of like the genuine general movie-going populace is that dumb and that non-artistic. So
So
part of it
he's
is he genuinely thinks he's doing a good thing, and part of it is he's cynical enough to go, well, these people would just see anything, therefore I don't have to try. And the other element, and this is the part that really gets me, is he doesn't think that geeky shit is worthwhile to begin with. And as I'm sure you've noticed, that's kind of a running sore spot with me, is if you adapt the material, you need to respect that material.
Yeah,
If you don't
I
respect that
totally
material, you have no business touching it.
I agree. And I'm pretty sure that's why everyone likes Bumblebee, right?
Yes, because Travis Knight is a fucking genius and
Like
actually respects the material.
he worked on a couple of commercials, right?
And also a movie for Leica Studios called Kubo and the Two Strings, which is amazing.
Right. I still need to see that.
Yes, you do.
I've seen like their other films, but
Yes.
not Kubo and the Two Strings.
Okay, if you want to know where I would rank Kubo and the Two Strings, I don't think it's as good as Coraline, and I don't think it's as good as Paranorman, but I do think it is better than Box Trolls. Would be where I would rank it.
Okay, so third, basically.
Yeah, third
Okay.
out of four.
I thought he also
Given that
worked on
those
the Iron
four are
Giant.
those movies, then there's no shame in that.
Or am I thinking of something different?
Huh?
I thought he worked on the Iron Giant.
Yes, in fact, he did.
Okay.
I don't remember how, but I do remember he was involved.
Okay. Well, I remember some people were saying when the first Bumblebee trailer came out, it kind of reminded them of Iron Giant.
I also heard a lot of people say it reminded them of E.T., although those movies are not bad company to be in. Let's just be
Oh yeah,
totally.
So it had since and obviously news. I'm not sure if it technically counts as recent news, but it is proclaimed as a reboot.
Good. The franchise should have been rebooted like 2.5 movies ago.
Right. So hold on, let me bring back my topic sheet. So yeah, the movie itself, it takes place in the 80s, which was obviously when the original Transformers came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that they have some plans set up. And have you ever heard of the YouTuber Cordy VFX?
The name is familiar.
He's
seen any of his videos.
Yeah, he's a YouTuber. He does he's done videos and where he's talked about he does reviews for movies and stuff, and he's also talked how he would do his own stuff too. Really cool guy. I would suggest to subscribe to him. But he, where was I going with this? Sorry, give me a sec. He was just, but yeah, he was essentially saying there was a list of stuff that was pronounced for the Transformers series after Bumblebee. There's gonna be an Optimus Prime movie. There's gonna be a movie that was set completely on Cybertron, the war and stuff.
Oh, thank fucking God!
Or was it an animated series? Well, either way, that's obviously something really cool because we hardly ever get to see that with any series.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when it's done right, I think Autobots and Decepticons on Earth can work. I mean, that's the whole crux of the franchise, but it would also be nice to get them the fuck off of Earth.
Okay. Okay, so this kind of question is, what did you like from the Michael Bay movies? Which I know would probably be a short list.
It is. It is a very short list. Like I'm trying to think of something that I unironically liked,
The
and
hot chicks.
no, no. Aaron Hill, which is one of my favorite like male actors, was in a minor role, and he was very cute in the second one. But
Well,
aside,
I'm also a dick chick, so
yeah. But aside from that, like I'm just like I don't. Yeah, I guess Leonard Nimoy playing the character he played
Sentinel
in,
Prime.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Him playing Sentinel Prime in the third one was okay.
Which is also funny because he also played Galvatron. Um, not in the movie, not in like the Bayformers movies, but in the original
No, but
Transformers movie.
in the show, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Um,
yeah. Uh, for me, what I like is it's a couple things because I actually liked Cade Yeager, Marky Mark's character. There was a lot with that character he could have done. I just don't think they utilized him well, which I think they didn't utilize a lot of concepts from.
they were too busy doing the masculine machismo girl thing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I liked Cade Yeager. There was a lot of interesting stuff for him. Like he's his wife passed away and he's very protective of his daughter, which like I'm a big family guy, so I kind of connect with that.
Hmm.
Well, obviously it's like skin. It's very skin deep with these
Mm-hmm.
characters. Like there's hardly anything there for these characters. But I think in the hands of a better director, in the hands of a competent writer, you can obviously do a
It
lot of
it
stuff.
it could have, and probably a different actor too, if we're entirely honest. Because I don't. That was the other thing. I don't think Marky Mark really fit the role.
I don't know. Like, okay, maybe. Okay, let's humor me. Who would have cast for Cade Yeager?
Um. What the fuck is his name?
Well, because keep in mind, like he's also like an engineer, so I would say like he's probably like if we're okay. Let's say we're also revamping the Cade Yeager character.
Probably like Daniel Craig.
Really?
Yeah, assuming Daniel Craig could do a decent American
Oh,
accent.
he has. If you watch the Angelina Jolie movies, he was in it, and he did a American accent. I don't remember. Well, I don't remember the movie that much because I haven't seen it in years. But he has done an American accent before.
Or maybe like Bruce Willis, maybe.
Okay. So yeah, and Cade Yeager, like he has a lot of interesting qualities. Like he is an engineer, so he could basically be like kind of a medic slash mechanic for the Autobots or any Cybertronians. He cares about his daughter very much, which I understand is probably cliche, but
Hmm.
I do like that. It's,
Apparently not so cliche that they didn't feel averse to using it in Ant-Man and the Wasp. That was one of those like eye-rolling moments in that movie.
it was boring to me. So
Yeah,
sidebar for the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie,
yeah.
which I can say a lot about a lot of Marvel movies.
I don't know. I think they've gotten to the point where Captain Marvel, obviously notwithstanding, they haven't made a bad one in a
I'm not
while.
saying like they made bad movies. I'm just saying they made kind of boring movies.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right.
Hopefully Endgame will not be.
Probably not, and then I'm probably done with Marvel after that.
And like I said, I think the last time we brought this up, I can't be done because we're just now getting into the good shit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I'm super excited for an Eternal movie. So
power to you, Dalton.
bring on the weird. I am so beyond done with street level. It's sickening.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of back to Transformers or Bayformers, I guess. Um, Another thing I did like was the okay, so I know a lot of people like I actually liked the last night on the fact of the Cybertronian Knights and King Arthur stuff. That's pretty
See,
much
this is one of my biggest problems with the Transformers franchise is all the ancient alien shit. Um, like I don't find the ancient alien theory to be intellectually defensible on the best of days. And the idea of doing ancient aliens, but this time with Transformers, just makes my skin crawl and my blood boil all at the same time.
mm.
And the fact that you dragged the legacy of Merlin down with you is just scum.
Well, you
Fuck
see,
off.
I'm a big fan of King Arthur and stuff, so maybe that's why I like it. It's just it involves
Well,
that.
and I am too, and that's part and parcel of the reason I didn't like it. Like, piss around with your stupid ancient alien shit if you like, but don't drag any grand mythological characters down with you if you damn well please.
Well, I really think you would be okay with it if it was handled better. Obviously,
Well, no, if it was handled better, I could see it working, but
yeah, and it
given
wasn't.
that they basically made Merlin a drunken hobo and all of his magic was technology based and Clark's law shit, just it didn't work in Thor, it does not work here. Piss
Well,
off with it.
I'm sure that I'm sure the old cliche phrase is, uh, "Shine, everything is magic until
Yeah,
it's."
yeah, I know. Clark's Law. But don't finish it because I might have a brain aneurysm of rage.
Okay. Well, I mean, technically, Transformers are ancient aliens. They crash landed on Earth in in the original canon. The Autobots crash landed on Earth in uh, I don't I want to say 3000 BC or something like that.
Something around there.
Around the time when the dinosaurs were.
I'm not saying the movies didn't have something to go on. I'm just saying they took one of the worst aspects of the mythos and they doubled down on it. And that was the only thing they ever doubled down on was the stupid shit.
Well,
As a well, Bumblebee notwithstanding, because Bumblebee was actually good and
okay,
didn't address most of that shit.
yeah. Even though at first it was technically a prequel.
Yeah, it's sad when the prequel to your franchise is better than the entirety of the franchise.
Yeah. Um, trying to think of something. Trying to remember something. But yeah, like stuff like a lot of the stuff that they built, like they didn't even, like there was so much stuff that they had built up in other movies that weren't paid off in anything else, not even in their own movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Quintessons from Age of Extinction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, were they ever going to address the Dinobots ever again? I don't think they ever were.
They were in last night, but as mindless beasts.
Yeah, and that's a retcon because they established they actually do have some intelligence there.
Just low level
Whatnot.
intelligence mostly.
And I guess it sets up the dragon that Merlin controlled, which again gets back to my "how dare you besmirch the good name of Merlin" rant. But like, it's just that was another thing that ticked me off about it was they made it genetic instead of skill based, and that's just rubbing sand in the wound there.
Well, if they were gonna do some, if I were doing it, one thing I'd have, if I was doing Transformers, like the movie series, I even
Mm-hmm.
at once I did try to write a thing for it,
Mm-hmm.
like my own interpretation of Transformers movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come back to that, but like obviously I would write it all out, multiple movies and stuff, have it planned out, but also treat each movie as its own thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't really think they had a plan after the first Transformers.
No, they just threw everything at the wall and hoped something stuck.
Yeah. Like, and I don't know if I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, but, continuity wise, it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, kind of what I do with every podcast, and I just live up to my namesake, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, so this was an idea I had back a while, and I think I just kind of scrapped it because I was stuck on writing it. So the idea I had was essentially this. It's I always like keeping things kind of small scaled.
Mm.
That's just me. Like, it can be big scaled on a personal level, but in the matter of like the world, it's kind of small scaled.
Mm.
So the idea was it's a father and son duo who are working for this mining company called the Hawes Brothers Mining Company. That's a little Easter egg there if you know it, if you can connect that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And basically, like, well, at first I was gonna have a prologue which kind of matches with the Fall of Cybertron ending, if you remember that.
Right.
Yeah. Then you got the opening credits, and then it's like with the family. And I was gonna, because I think obviously you kind of have to focus on the
There has to be some human somewhere, otherwise it's gonna be kind of confusing.
I mean, like, you can't obviously do it. Like, you can have like a new Autobot made, like from a protoform and stuff, where they could be like the audience surrogate, learning all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to keep it like on Earth, like from the original cartoon. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it was gonna be a lot of character focus because I think that's obviously again what Bayformers lacked and what Bumblebee did well was have good characters in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and basically they stumble upon during a mining expedition. They stumble upon like the Ark, and through accidental tomfoolery, like just stepping into like the ship and stuff. Which
You mean the Allspark, right?
uh, I actually didn't think of the Allspark. Huh. But I guess, yeah, like I said, like I scrapped this and I haven't really thought of it, so I'm just kind of trying to remember the stuff I did.
Hmm.
But essentially, like, whole point is that the Autobots that are on board, because I think I set it up that there were escape pods that launched from the Ark as when it was teleported to Earth, like crashing into the Earth's atmosphere to Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and also the Nemesis too. I was gonna have that. Basically, it was the group of Autobots, which I think was Ratchet, Ironhide, Optimus, and Bumblebee.
Mm.
They were going to basically go after Megatron, Soundwave, and Starscream as they were
Mm.
going to try and retrieve the Nemesis, like get it back online and retrieve all the other Decepticons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much like the first film.
Hmm.
I think the human characters were like supposed to be, like I said, like the father and son. They were like, I think they were just supposed to be like kind of a gateway for the Autobots to kind of learn about humanity and stuff. I think I was going to incorporate some military because I wanted to add in Skywatch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like kind of a military uh, force that works with the Autobots and stuff. I wanted to build up to that. But yeah, that was my general idea was that couple of and I think I had this set in like Montana or something because like mining and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, that was like the first movie I had, only idea I had for Transformers, my own style.
Mm. I honestly don't know what I would do with Transformers. They're not really my thing, especially. So I don't know is what I would do with them. I do like the idea of Transformers period pieces, though.
Mm.
I think a 1950s style um like during the alien invasion hysteria of the space race.
The
Uh
Roswell stuff too.
yeah, would be an interesting would be an interesting space to set a Transformers movie. I think
Yeah, that would
that's what I would
actually be.
probably do.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool too. Um, I guess that's pretty much all we've got to talk about with the Transformers, right? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
All right. So we're gonna be talking about crowdfunding comic titles. Uh, are you looking forward to anyone or ones you've gotten and
I
want to talk about?
I honestly don't really pay that close of attention to crowdfunded comics.
I will agree to that actually. Uh, I mean, like, I want to try and do some Indiegogo stuff. I got some concepts in the works. A couple, I think I've talked about one on either here or another stream.
Hmm.
Uh,
I've got one comic idea, but I don't know if it's any good, so I just kind of keep it to myself.
well, not I mean, like, if you, like, I can give it. If you want, I can like tell you if it works, and then maybe help you.
Okay, so I had this idea for an occult detective, but set in like the universe of the Lovecraft mythos.
Hmm.
And his gimmick is he's able to remain sane because he looked into the book of Cthulhu and the book of Hastur at the same time. And because Hastur and Cthulhu are always competing with each other, their like unique style of madness sort of cancel each other out. And
Hmm.
he was able to get a glimpse of like all of the Eldritch things without going completely fucking nuts. Um, and as a result, uh is a he kind of walks between the worlds. Um, Particularly Lovecraft's Dreamland because I love the Dreamland as a location and I really wish they were explored more in his mythos. But yeah, um that's sort of my idea for a character is a occult detective in a Lovecraftian universe.
Okay. Well, I'm not like a big Cthulhu fan. I mean, I've tried reading stories of the mythos. Uh, Mostly, I've procrastinated with those
Mm.
books and other books as well, and just haven't really read them. But I understand the basic knowledge of it, and I do like that. Okay, just by that description alone, it does sound like an interesting comic concept. I think if you flesh it out more, like who the character is, who they were before,
Well, obviously, but I was kind of trying to give a general kind of overview.
honestly, I do think it sounds good. Like, I think you'd have to flesh out the world, or is this like you're actually taking the whole? Is it like your own interpretation of the Cthulhu mythos, or are
I
you?
I I take pretty much everything in the Cthulhu mythos. I'd mostly probably keep it to uh the stuff that Lovecraft actually added to it because I don't know to what extent I canonize things that other people added to the Cthulhu mythos. But the one good thing about the Cthulhu mythos is um Lovecraft didn't actually like copyright it or anything, so it's his mythos is public domain and anyone can add shit to it. So
Huh.
It's one of the things that makes it an attractive kind of universe to play in. It has its boundaries, but it's also public domain.
All right, well, that's cool. So yeah, I think if you want to do that, that's a good idea. Uh, Great concept. Again, like you should probably flesh it out more, like write it all down and stuff. Uh, so when you say a cult detective, like he knows magic and stuff, right?
Yeah,
Well, what kind of magic?
sort of like a darker version of like Constantine almost.
So
Um,
he's like a British twat.
well, no. How to describe the way I sort of
Well, I was making a joke.
no, I know. I'm just trying to think of how to further describe. My idea is that my idea is actually that he is immortal, but that his immortality began like sort of I think what I had originally sort of desired for it was that was a scholar he was a scholar of like ancient religions or some other such thing I debated making him like a parapsychologist of some kind or other. But anyway, regardless, in about 1870, he got interested in obviously lots of eldritch things, like the great old ones, the deep ones, the elder things, so on and so forth. And he got and he but he had heard of people going mad because of exposure to um, Cthulhu's Necronomicon and the Book of Hastur. Um, so what he did was he made sure to get both of them under the auspices that it could potentially cancel out the madness, and it worked to an extent, in the sense that before whenever anyone would get either of these books, they would open one individually, and the sort of hive mind of one or other of these entities would take over them. But because Cthulhu and Hastur are competing forces, their competing madnesses sort of canceled each other out and gave him the ability to sort of sustain both at the same time. And as a result, um, it gave him the ability to kind of walk between worlds. And that's kind of a running theme that I would have throughout this is um, at any given point he can see into multiple realities, so he has to be very careful about what he's doing when, because if he's not careful, he could find himself shifting into another frame of mind uh, without realizing it, and he'd still be in the physical world, but he would be interacting with non-physical things, and everyone would think he was nuts. And I also think that was another element I had was for the first like 20 years after this incident that gave him the ability to walk between the worlds, he got thrown in a mental asylum because he was constantly trying to parse the realities that he was being thrown to and to and fro to and fro from, and only by studying magic in the dreamlands did he actually maintain enough of his sanity to eventually walk out of it.
Hmm. Well,
And so he's kind of been wandering sort of on the fringes of society and people's awareness since then. Um, and the other thing I had was that he doesn't actually remember most of his past, um, because he gets like flashes of his past, but he can't distinguish really between the echoes of his past and like things that he picked up from other entities. So to him, it might as well all be a delusion.
Hmm.
Is sort of how I ended up going with it.
That actually sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, like I had a couple of concepts. I think I mentioned one to you. I don't know if it was on this podcast or on a stream before, but like the first concept I had, and actually I'm kind of currently working on, that I've kind of stagnated so far, um, is this kind of, I think I've described it as Guardians of the Galaxy meets Expendables.
I think you might have mentioned that one as well.
Yeah. So essentially, uh, kind of my elevator pitch is, well, it's also that, but basically, there are two alien factions fighting about like a few dozen or so light years away. And one side began to lose, so they looked elsewhere in the universe for soldiers.
Well,
Uh,
no, you mentioned this on I think like two paragraphs ago. Or two podcasts ago. E was here and we were discussing it.
right.
It was in between when we were discussing Titans and when we were discussing Doom Patrol.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like basically they're mercenaries. They go across this tiny little galaxy and basically just take up jobs. But jobs that are kind of morally gray, but also not morally gray. Like the methods they use are morally gray, but the
Mm-hmm.
jobs they do are technically good.
Mm-hmm. And justify the means kind of
Oh yeah, like
thing.
the first issue, because I'm doing these in issues instead of like I tried to do a whole graphic novel, but the pages were. If I had gone on with
Mm-hmm.
that, it probably would have been like maybe 300 pages or so if I'd finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm breaking it up.
Yeah,
So
I'm the same way. Once I get going, it's hard to stop.
yeah, so the whole idea is like the first job we see them doing is like, and I actually subvert expectations, which I know technically that has a negative connotation now.
It can, but if you're actually doing it for the sake of the material rather than destroying the material, it doesn't always work.
We'll talk about Star Wars some other time. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh.
So I make them seem like they're trying to rob a truck, like a bank truck with money and stuff.
Hmm.
Like they stop it, they take it to an undisclosed location, and basically but the way I subvert expectations is that they're not there for the money, that they're actually there for one of the guards, who turns out to be both a pedophile and a child killer. Two things I hate greatly, if you didn't know.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I think you might have that in common with the staggering majority of human beings.
Yeah. And and the funny part is that I have one of the main characters give money to pay for the damages to the front of the truck. Which it's ironic because it's a money truck. So, uh, so yeah, basically, and the whole story is that they get set up by a kind of, I would say, terrorist group, a nationalist, like a terrorist nationalist group for the side they once fought on. Uh, that's kind of the whole story for the whole, like, I guess, first arc of the characters. Um, and I wrote like the characters I wrote, because like I've always said, is characters are first and foremost with any story.
Mm-hmm.
And the main, like, I don't say like there is a main character per se. It's just Like you have a character that could be part of any, that could be their own main character, of their own story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have, and since I'm kind of a spiteful prick when it comes to SJWs, which I'm sure we all are,
Yeah, I was about to say, aren't we all?
yeah, I made these characters kind of the quote unquote diversity characters, but I actually made them people first.
Hmm.
Like the first which is like the leader of the group, which I call the mongrels, because one I sidebar is when I name something, I mostly the time when I name something, I think the name sounds cool, and then I find a reason
Mm-hmm.
story wise to call them that.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't found a story reason to call them the mongrels. I'm working on that.
Yeah, I'm the same way, but I get stuck on names. Names are the hardest thing to come up with. Like, I still don't know what I would call my Lovecraftian detective character.
Well,
I'm
I'm sure you
leaning toward
want double alliteration, right?
I'm leaning towards something like the see, but I'm thinking that because of the fact that he doesn't have his memories, he wouldn't know his name, so he would just go by like an alias.
Okay.
But I don't really know what to call him. My first like thought was the trench coat, but that's kind of cliche. Um,
Hmm.
and I don't know if that would be so cliche as to be like ripping things off or if it actually sounds good. It's it's kind of hard to tell. It's one of those things that sounds good in your head, but you're afraid to like tell anyone because you're afraid everyone will go, "That's the most cliched, stupid thing I've ever heard."
Right. Um, so yeah, so the first character I want to mention is he's called West. Mostly, I have him called that most on the fact that he looks like kind of like a space cowboy with like a
Mm.
hat and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what he actually looks like is a white is a he has blonde hair, blue eyes, and white skin, and he's the most noblest and heroic person of the group.
He's your Galahad or your Cap basically.
Yeah, I mean, like he
Yeah.
has his issues, like anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He was a commander during the war, uh, and he's like he lost and like in one battle he lost all his men, and this kind of stuck with him. And so with his new family, his brothers, he feels like he's like that very overbearing, overprotective parent when it comes to them. Like he's really scared that he'll mess up and get his new family killed. So he kind of comes off as he comes off as kind of cold and calculated and stuff, but he's kind of on the inside he's the complete opposite.
Mm.
Uh, the second one is he was a pilot, and he's like kind of a. I don't want to like mention too much because if I want to like expand upon, I don't want to like.
Yeah, then you might have to backtrack and yeah.
Yeah. So basically, he was a pilot that got stranded with an enemy pilot, and he basically just sat down and had a conversation with them. But when a squad came to look for him because he is a pretty good pilot, he was forced to kill the enemy that he basically decided to have a friend be a friend with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's a like okay, so I made him bisexual. And he's also like he's black, like, but those are literally like the last things I wrote about him,
Hmm.
like because those things I myself don't really think that matters when it's compared to the character of the person. Uh, and I added another thing is that he's a horn dog. He's a He's basically Quagmire in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like he sleeps with everyone, but that's more of like he just wants. He has more physical intimacy than emotional intimacy, even though he wants emotional intimacy more than physical. But he can't really express that.
Hmm.
I have a robot. He's called Cody, uh, it stands for Combat Operations Droid, but everyone calls him Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually another point is that the humans have names that kind of disassociate their humanity, while the robot who acts more human has a human name. That was a good parallel between all the characters, the main cast anyway. He's a robot with PTSD. Like he's a sentient robot that also has PTSD with an event that happened at the end of the war.
Mm.
And plus, he's a robot, so technically he doesn't have a gender. So, but I think he's more interesting just because he's because he's a robot that's more human than the humans around him, which I'm sure is cliche, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
Last of the main characters is kind of my favorite one. Is one I'm thinking of just having be kind of the main character of this arc, of the first arc of this series idea I had, which is he's called Axe. He was he's the youngest of them all. Well, second youngest because the robot technically is younger. He's lost a lot because of the war. He got injured. Like both his legs got blown off. He lost both his arms, and they're replaced with cybernetics. So lost his eye too. He's very angry. He's kind of technically the drunk of the group. He's also kind of racist because he kind of sees the other aliens, the ones that didn't kidnap him, but the other aliens that he was fighting. He sees it as that it's their faults because without them, the aliens that abducted him wouldn't have abducted him and robbed him of his childhood.
Mm.
So he kind of goes on the character arc of not being a racist to the alien species with an alien character that is on the ship with them.
Mm.
So yeah, that's like my main cast there. And all in all, what do you think of that?
It's interesting. It's definitely something that I could see people reading.
Yeah, because I don't think there are a lot of stories that really delve into like the concept of child soldiers, even though that is an actual thing.
Just fair warning, though, you will be boycotted by moralists who find it objectionable to mention such things.
Okay.
Because if it's not the left accusing you of misogyny, it's the right with the think of the children.
Well, the thing is, though, they're technically adults at the point we follow them.
Yeah, but if you at any point go into any kind of graphic detail about what happened to them, you're going to get, oh, how dare you publish this? And
It would be a
so,
mature book, though, which is
yeah,
it has violence and
but still, I'm just warning you. In today's day and age, you get moralists and Puritans all over the map. So
so basically, either if I were to launch with this comic first, I would be bombarded with a bunch of
Yeah,
I,
I'm not saying you have to give a fuck. I'm just saying that will
I,
happen.
yeah, I know. I'm just like, God, everyone's
In fact,
sensitive these
my
days.
advice would be to give as few fucks as possible and do your thing.
Well, I have like two. I
Would
have
be
two
my
other
advice.
concepts, and that's kind of why I stopped. I halted with writing this one because I think I'm going too big. If I start with my best foot forward, I think I might run out of steam. So I kind of want to start a little smaller. Um, Also because I've kind of hit a writer's block with this story I'm writing right now. I know where to end it. I just the journey is the hard part of writing it. So I have like this one idea that's technically a Spider-Man ripoff.
Mm.
It was actually based on a character I wrote for Spider-Man, like a spider character, a spider persona, if you will.
Mm.
Well, it's just the original idea is basically I'm keeping this kind of same backstory, but he was an acrobat whose family's traveling circus came to New York City when he was on a walk. Like this is a spider character I came up with, and then I just kind of changed it up a little bit for my comic idea. But essentially, he was a former acrobat, became a superhero with also superpowers too.
How did he get his powers, or haven't you worked that out yet?
Oh yeah, I got that worked out. So essentially, on a field trip to a newly built particle accelerator place.
Mm.
Thing explodes and gets hit with a wave of energy, and he kind of can teleport in a way. Uh,
Mm.
well, no, please. I think you were saying something.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
If you want him to be kind of a Spider-Man ripoff anyway, my advice would be to have him derive his powers from the African trickster god, a Nazi.
Well, no, it's just like what I mean by Spider-Man knockoff is more of he's like the whole archetype of Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
not Spider-Man himself. More of like I take the concept of
Okay. I see what you're
yeah.
saying. I was just thinking if you were gonna do Spider-Man, but not do the whole radioactive spider thing, why not have him like chosen by the spider
Well, this
god or
character. Okay, so the
Nazi?
character's name is called Acrobat on the fact that he was a former child acrobat in a circus, but his family decided to have a normal life after their third born child.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the eldest, and he's like I think I had him as a no, what's before a senior in high school? I forget.
Junior.
Junior. So yeah, he's a junior in high school. He doesn't really like the normal life. I'm using air quotes. Because he liked being the star of the show as an acrobat because
Yeah.
it was exciting and stuff.
He misses the notoriety and
The spotlight. The spotlight. And when he becomes the quote unquote superhero at first, he's all for the limelight. That's all he really cares about.
So essentially what I'm getting is Robin meets Booster Gold.
Yeah. But, well, no, he's not. Okay, so you say Robin. That was for my Spider Sona character for like when I was writing a character, like a sidekick for Spider-Man, and I was going to pitch it to Marvel, but Marvel being the wasteland of creativity and imagination that it is now, I'm not even going to give them any ideas.
It's like, no, fuck you. You don't get my ideas. Sort your
So,
shit out, and then maybe we'll talk.
yeah, so I'm basically taking kind of the concept of the character being a former acrobat and just putting my own spin on it. So he's it's that character. That story is basically like it's like the original Amazing Fantasy story with Spider-Man. Like he has to learn that he can't be a hero for the fame. He has to be a hero to be a hero. And there was this final concept, and I was thinking of saving that for the last one. like comic, and I think this was going to be like my on-running comic series. Like I was thinking of pitching it to Alterna. Is basically going to be kind of because I don't know if I've said this before, but I say like nothing is really original anymore. Like everything's already been done. Only
Yeah,
thing, yeah,
there's an old phrase, nothing new under the sun.
yeah. So the only thing we can do is like put our own spin on things, and that's what I do a lot. Like I don't hide the fact that I take inspiration from other things.
Mm-hmm.
I just do my own style of it. So it was basically like kind of homage to Power Rangers, plus I guess kind of the Green Lantern Corps in a way. On the fact that it's like so it's called the name I had for it was the Universal Honor Guard. It was basically an intergalactic police force. You know, the Green Lantern part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the kind of the suits would resemble kind of Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
The story itself revolves around this character. I think I called him. If I can pull it up here in a second, not on the screen, but more of. Hold on. But essentially, like the whole idea was that okay, so the character's name is Leonidas Victor McSamson.
Hmm.
I don't know if McSamson is an actual name, but I thought it sounded cool. But either way, he was a farm boy who he basically got like this crystal from a dying alien, like this, I guess, morpher from a dying alien, and he basically the story is that he's telling the story of how he became this great hero across the galaxy from the when he started at age 18. He's telling the story past in the past from the future when he's like age 33, I believe. So technically, this was like my idea for a uh, long running series. Uh, so yeah, okay. So I pulled it up here. Is essentially, he's 35 years old and he narrates his past experiences through a video log. Because in the, I guess, present slash future, he's like this legendary hero that's kind of like the leader of the Universal Honor Guard at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's telling his story as kind of like lessons to future generations of Universal Honor Guard. The whole like first issue I had right now is that he was when he gets his like. So the idea was it's kind of like Captain Marvel too in a way. Like when he gets the suit, he's like taller and stuff. It's a new body. Like he has like kind of these powers and stuff. The suit itself was supposed to resemble like a Super Sentai suit.
Mm-hmm.
Because the morpher kind of like psychically transforms into something that is resembling in a subconscious form that the wearer holds. It's just this whole idea was that at first I was kind of worried because you technically know that in any situation that seems life threatening is that the main character gets out okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I expressed that to a friend of mine, and they said that the other characters, like you don't know what happens to them, so And I think someone also told me that how the experiences of the stuff that happens to the main character would affect him, would make him who he is, who is telling the stories now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mature Power Rangers, but not like R-rated Power Rangers.
Hmm.
Anything?
No, I can't really think of any like ideas or advice to add to that. It just sounds like an interesting concept.
Yeah. That's why I probably saved it for last, because I think it would require my most attention with it.
Mm.
And that's another thing, because I would have to find I honestly would have to find artists for each of these.
Mm.
Art style wise, I have no idea. Like, I wrote down for like the Mongrels story is that like I wanted it to be like Jack Kirby's cyberpunk.
Mm. My sort of go-to art style for my idea would be something along the lines of like DC Vertigo
Mm. Like
from like the
like
from
super
like the
like kind
80s
of
and 90s.
so like kind of realistic but also kind of exaggerated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, like like I said, Jack Kirby's cyberpunk for like the Mongrels for that comic, because I wanted it to be colorful but also kind of grimy and stuff. Have all the unique shapes that Jack Kirby drew in his comics.
Mm.
Do you think that's everything? Cover about comic crowdfunding stuff.
Yeah, I think so for the time being. I'm gonna do some more work on that idea though now, because
I would say you should. Like, it sounds interesting.
I had more to it. See, because like in 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 the Lovecraftian mythos, not many people know this, but there is actually a pantheon of gods that is like quote unquote good or at least benevolent. They're called the elder gods. Um, and my thinking was when he my character, who I still haven't figured out a name for, when he was smart enough to think to sort of short circuit the madness creating properties um of the books of Cthulhu and Hastur, uh a bunch of the elder gods, in particular, a guy named Nodens, took notice and decided to kind of make him their emissary in the world, in the mundane waking world. Um, and so as a result of that, he spends those 20 years that he's locked away in the asylum, not just flickering between realities, but also learning um everything that they have to teach him. And so when he finally gets out, that's where he draws the majority of his magic from. Um, and I also had this one of my absolute favorite Lovecraftian characters is Nyarlathotep. So I kind of thought of um having Nyarlathotep be his main like adversary. Like obviously he hates all of the old ones and all of the outer gods, but um of all of the Lovecraftian creatures he despises, Nyarlathotep is the one who he despises most and also despises him most, because what you'll know if you're a fan of Lovecraft is that Nyarlathotep is kind of the archetypical trickster god of the Lovecraft mythos,
Well,
and he's also
I've actually watched a lot of videos on the mythos, so I am kind of vaguely familiar with this
yeah.
character.
So like my thinking is when Nyarlathotep hears that this one guy was able to survive the onslaught of Cthulhu and Hastur's madness creating properties, he made it sort of his personal vendetta to successfully trick him, but it never works because he's got the ability to see through those kind of illusions now. Whereas most people can't look at this shit without going mad. He can look right at it and be relatively unfazed. So Nyarlathotep kind of becomes the Joker to his Batman, or the Luthor to his Superman. Sort
I
of.
would say Lethotep is more Joker.
Yeah.
All right, so is that everything we can cover on that? We got like 4 other topics to talk about.
Yeah, we can move on. I had actually forgotten that element until just now, and I looked it up because I knew there was something I was forgetting about it that I didn't mention, and I was just like, I need to look up some Lovecraftian stuff to jog my memory, and I did, and I remembered that was part of it. So yeah.
All right.
We can move on.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, and I will probably pull it up now. Well, I'll look it up and then pull it up. But the Super Sons Polar Shield official trailer thing.
I had seen that it was out, but I haven't seen it yet. No.
Well, Mr. E and I think talked about it a little bit on Twitter, like just brief exchange about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let me look it up here. I've heard a lot of. I've actually never read Super Sons.
Me either. I've seen like bits and pieces of it from like different people's reviews and stuff, but I've never bought a copy or anything.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second. I gotta unplug my headphones. Can you stay on here?
It hasn't switched over yet.
I mean, like, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Screen sharing. Now.
Okay, there it goes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right. So luckily I can play pretty much most of it. Because it is only 30 seconds long. Okay. Ready?
Alrighty. Hit the button.
All right. It's first 20 seconds. Thing that stood out to me most was the art style.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks good.
It's okay. I think they're going for a more sort of juvenile look to it.
I think that, well, the way I see it is, I think they're more trying to. I think for a lot of times is I think the comics are trying to. I don't know. Wait, is this a comic? Oh yeah, no, it is. It says from New York Times bestselling author Ridley Pearson. You know who that is?
That can mean anything, and you can write just about anything and get on the New York Times bestseller list.
Yeah,
so
I've heard a lot. Like I've seen a lot of stuff be called that. But yeah, it just feels like they're trying to do what the original Super Sons was, which was like imitating manga.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you see here, I think it's they're like you see the background, right?
Yeah.
I think there's less detail and stuff. I've seen like art from the original Super Sons and stuff, and it looks. I'd say it looks a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't. I was more saving this for Mystery E, and maybe NerdWonder, but you know they're not here. So
Yeah, we like I say, we lost our two guests.
well, it seems that NerdWonder had a blackout, and that's why she dropped out before.
Mm.
I messaged her back. Damn dog.
Is that you or me this time?
That's my dog.
So we both have a I'm
No, she
sorry,
only
that's
does that
kind
when
of
she only does that when
ironic.
she's at the door. But yeah, no, it just seems like it's kind of a downgrade from the other art I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, this is supposed to be Damien, I think.
Yeah, no, it's Damien as Robin and John Kent.
Yeah, well, the thing is though, is like his hair is brown. Isn't his hair usually black?
Yeah.
That nose right there, he knows it's me.
Okay. And I think he's going by an alias because I think he's in like a public school.
Yeah.
Damien Ian Wayne. Huh. Doesn't sound like a bad name. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think anyway. But yeah, like I said, like art style looks a little weird. Looks very kiddie, which I understand. Like it is kiddie
Mm-hmm.
itself, like Super Sons. What else? Okay, so let's play the last 10 seconds. Huh. Like I don't. I think my mind might be doing this thing like I see so many poor representations of diversity characters using air quotes by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think I see every like when I see a character and when it like has a different skin when they have a different skin color, I just keep thinking that it's just gonna be like a token character or something.
Mm.
And that's probably on me. Hey, give me a sec.
It's not exactly what you'd call an unfounded belief, so.
All right, give me 1 sec to plug back my headphones.
It just looks kind of bland.
Yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, the art doesn't really sell me on it, which is usually what a comic's supposed to do.
Yeah, no, it's not instilling me with any great degree of confidence.
Yeah. So I think that's everything we can really say because like you and I haven't really read Super Sons, so we're not really connected with it.
Yeah, no, if Mr. E were here, I'm sure he'd be going on a 2.5 minute rant about it.
And maybe next time we'll get just some guy on here.
Oh, that'll be fun.
If I can get to him.
Assuming we don't miss him or lose him like half like 2 minutes into the podcast, like we did Nerd and E.
Oh no, we didn't lose E that quickly. Nerd probably, but hey, question: do I have to resend the Hangouts leak to her since like she got cut off?
The one she has should still work as long as she still has it.
Okay, so I guess we can move on to the third to last topic,
Mm-hmm.
which is the well, actually, let me pull it up here. Like I have it saved on my Twitter. Okay. The well, Unrake Chevron posted this like a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was I think this would have been an interesting talker point for like all four of us to talk about.
Yeah, I probably would have.
Yeah, but work with what you got, I guess.
Yeah, no use crying over spilled YouTubers.
Yep. All right, so I actually saw Ghost in the Shell when it came out.
I didn't think it was that bad. It
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean,
as good as the original, but it wasn't
I
that
haven't
bad.
I haven't seen the original, so I mostly judged it on its own merit. It wasn't bad. I just think some I got a little confused at the end. Like I didn't know what was really going on.
Mm.
Like I feel like they tried to put too much in from the original.
They did. They crammed it too much.
Yeah. But you remember when it first was announced that it was happening with ScarJo? Like it got a total backlash, right?
Yeah. Whitewashing her there.
Yeah, which is weird because there have been other characters that have been changed different.
Well, it's not only that, but in anime, a lot of the characters look very westernized because a lot of the artists draw them westernized because they want them to look white.
Right.
That's why when a bunch of and people actually did go to Japan and ask them
Yeah, I remember that video.
what
I
their thoughts on ScarJo playing the major were, and they were just like, "No, she's a great actress. I'm flattered that we're getting this kind of treatment. I'm excited to see her." And it's just like, yeah, no, Asia by and large hates SJWs. The Chinese even have a word for it, and I can't think of what the word is.
but it's Unranked Chevron does bring up a good point. Is why they didn't bring up anything when Alita was cast. Hispanic washing, as he puts it.
Because brown is brown in these people's minds as much as they hammer at other people for being racist as long as it's not white male and patriarchal, it's acceptable. As long as it's subverting something that's largely considered to be normal, we're fine.
Mm. So yeah, so like here's my thoughts when it first when Ghost when the announcement was made for ScarJo's Ghost in the Shell.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested because one, I do like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Well, I like her acting ability. I don't really like her as a person because she comes off as SJW kind of
Pompous.
yeah. And when this movie happened, when Alita was announced, I was interested too because I heard like James Cameron it took him a long time to get this off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, Robert Rodriguez was directing it, so I was very interested because Robert Rodriguez is one of my favorite directors.
He's a very unique bird, that Robert Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, I like a lot of his films. Well, I say a lot of his films.
I think his biggest problem is he never has quite the budget or the visual imagination to pull off a lot of his concepts. The good thing about him and James Cameron working together is, in a large sense, that's pretty much all James Cameron has working for him is visual imagination and the technical acumen to pull things off.
Yeah. The only thing that did bother me was obviously like I guess like what everyone really thought was the eyes. with
I,
Alita.
I understood why they had them in there. My biggest issue was why doesn't everyone else have eyes like that? If you're
She's a
trying to
robot.
ape the anime aesthetic, then ape the anime aesthetic. I mean, be consistent is all I'm asking.
She's a robot.
Right, but so are a lot of other characters in Alita. So it's like if you're going
Different
to
model
ape,
design, I guess. If it,
I honestly think it was just they didn't have the budget to go through and do everyone's eyes that way, and
but
that's
yeah,
fine.
it was. Yeah, I just kind of think like her face was kind of creepy.
I thought it was fine. She looked exactly like she did in the anime, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah. Generally, like when I saw the trailers, like they looked interesting. Like I know, like the Ghost in the Shell trailer. I don't know if that sold anyone or not. So kind of sold me. Maybe it was the
I
music or
thought it was
something.
fine.
Yeah.
It was basically just the anime and live action, but that's kind of what I was going for. So it was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Trying to think of something else, but yeah, generally I don't. Like it does. I do find it weird that they're want to. Yeah, and the thing that bothers me too is that the creator of Ghost in the Shell, when the movie came out, said that he liked Scarlett Johansson, that he thought she was perfect for the role. Like if the
And given that
creator,
she's one of the biggest actresses in Hollywood, that totally makes sense.
yeah, like if the creator says that actress for the role
And
works,
if the people you're worried about virtue signaling on behalf of say, no, we're perfectly fine with that, in fact, we're flattered, then you don't get to moralize and be like, but what, but whitewashing.
which is weird because they call for characters that are typically white to be changed different races and stuff.
Yeah, the reason they do that is ideological, because in their minds, white, straight, patriarchal, et cetera, is normal. Anything that transverses that, but basically their whole idea comes down to sociocultural power. Because white people have been represented and populated all of these franchises for so many decades, they have institutional power and they control what's normal. So by changing something that is white, straight, patriarchal, etc., to something else, they're weakening that power structure and taking some of that power back. Like I say, I've always said this. They see themselves as the Rebel Alliance and they see everyone else as the Empire. So when they change something from its quote unquote normal state, that's them taking the power away from the oppressive patriarchy. But when a character that was of a minority status is whitewashed, that's taking away what little power minorities had in society in their minds, and also reinforcing patriarchy slash white hegemony slash male hegemony slash whatever. So it's all a power and authority game.
So it's basically all just really.
We want to take the conceptual authority away from this norm and give it to this concept. And if you do the opposite of that, that's reinforcing this norm that we're trying to get rid of and taking away this power that we need. Basically.
So basically, it's all just basically hypocritical because they'll damn one, but they'll say nothing about another.
Well, no, it makes sense within their framework. It's just their framework happens to be bollocks.
Okay. Yeah, all in all, just if a movie it doesn't matter what the character there are some characters that just work as the race they were in and stuff, right? Like Blade, like you can't imagine him being white.
There are some characters who that element of them is a part of their character. Yes.
Yeah, like the Superman thing, right? Or the
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
but there are also characters for whom it is utterly irrelevant and does not really affect the character all that much. Like, for example, Chiwetel Ejiofor is an amazing casting choice as Baron Mordo, and I have absolutely no problem with the fact that he is not a Romanian dude.
okay. Yeah.
Because of course Baron Mordo is a Romanian baron, and that's where he gets his title from, and also where he gets his links with Hydra from, which I assume that this Baron Mordo doesn't have because he's not white
Dalton.
anymore.
Dalton.
What?
All right, I was afraid you were going to go on a tangent about Doctor Strange again for like the umpteenth time in my.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
it's fun. It's fine. I just like I enjoy you doing it. Like I kind of think it's a running gag within these podcasts.
It's a running gag everywhere. It's just that's where my brain goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all we can talk about with this. With just two of us here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, at the very least, with fewer guests, we're making better time.
Yeah, because last time we ended was like 2 o'clock.
Yeah, it was almost like 2:30 in the morning when we got done.
Yeah, the stream last like I went back and checked. It's like 6 hours last stream.
Though in fairness, most of that was just us talking because we lost people about, I want to say, like a third of the way through last time.
Yeah, I also think it was because of the trailers too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a lot to talk about.
Hmm.
Anyway, next.
Yeah. All right. So the last, second to last is, what comic made you a comic fan and started you on collecting comics?
See, this is weird because I don't think there was a specific single comic
Well,
that
okay.
started.
Let's broaden it. What comic series? What something that made you
No,
want?
but like in terms of like the thing is, I've been collecting comics and I've been a comic book fan since literally before I can remember.
Ah,
Um, there was never a moment where I'm like, this is a thing I'm consciously choosing to be a fan of, because it was always a part of my life, like as far back as I can remember. It's always been just kind of like a key fitting into a lock with me. It's not like this moment turned me into a comic book fan. I just was kind of, for lack of more explanation, sort of born into it.
all right. Okay. Well,
What was yours though? I'm
uh,
curious.
well, let's see. That's a kind of a layered answer for me.
Well, we got time,
Yeah.
so go into
Okay.
the layers.
All right. So first comic I ever remember reading was a Superman comic from the '90s. Where he had a mullet. So probably after the death of Superman.
Okay, I know the era you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. So he like it was this. I think it was called Fall of Metropolis, and the cover was
Mm-hmm.
Superman holding a dead Lois Lane in his arms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I still
Granted,
own that issue.
yeah. Granted, I lost that comic uh, years and years ago because I just remember that reading that comic and it was interesting. I wasn't like attached to comics just yet, but I think it was like the first comic I was ever getting, even though like towards the end I didn't give it. Um,
Mm. The first comic I ever remember buying was,
oh, I didn't buy it. It was more given to me by my family.
well, but either way, the first comic in that category for me was Batman and Spawn, um,
Oh,
which was
I,
which was a graphic novel, I believe. Um, wasn't it a standalone graphic novel? Anyway,
I have no
uh,
idea.
yeah, I remember seeing that and getting it. But I also remember having comics before then. So again, it's not like that was the start of anything. That was just the first time I did it that I can actually physically remember doing.
Okay. So kind of okay, so kind of moving later down in my life, I'm like maybe 8, 9 years old or so. My mother, who at this okay, let's just say she wasn't always there in my life at that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we're kind of together we're talking, and like a thing when we're really kind of reconnecting again, she gives me a bag full of knickknacks and toys and stuff, and a bag full of comic books she bought. I'm thinking these are kind of older comic books too, like some old, some new. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking this is like around 2008 or 9 or so.
Okay.
All right, so some were like Bruce Timm, Batman, the New Adventures of Batman comics.
Okay, so the ones that were kind of tied into the animated series then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The comics with those were like Mr. Freeze centered comics, where Nora comes back to life and he reconnects with her. I believe. Again,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. And the others were like Spider-Man Back in Black, where he's like wanted fugitive. He has the black costume and stuff. It's been a very long while since I read those comics, and I also lost those comics too. I wasn't good at keeping track of comics I had back then.
For
Um,
shame, sir. So many lost comics, so little time.
I was a child. Thank you very much.
I still have the majority of the ones that I had when I was a kid, so that's not gonna help you. I'm just taking the piss.
Yeah, I
I'm
know. I'm
unfair.
just like I feel bad that I didn't take good care of those comics, because technically those are the last things I have of my mother. So technically,
Ooh,
yeah.
damn. Now I feel bad for
No,
making fun
don't
of you.
don't be. It's on me. Um, but yeah, that's kind of another reason why I've kind of been very adamant with and kind of not liking the turn that comics have taken, because I technically have a very personal connection with comics.
Hmm. But that's the thing. Even then, the downward spiral had already begun, and
Possibly,
and
probably. Uh,
and that's another thing too. I remember even thinking back when I was a kid. I remember thinking um that modern comics weren't like contemporary comics weren't good, and that I needed to go and look for older comics from like previous ages. And that's something that I've held to pretty much the entirety of my life, because for most of my life the contemporary runs have not been good. Um, so I've always that's the other interesting thing is my love of comics has always been for the Copper Age and back, um, through the Golden Age and even back to the pulps, more so than it has been any contemporary run.
uh,
I've always kind of taken this habit of wait for it to come to a trade or an omnibus, because by then people will be able to give their opinions on whether or not this is good or not. And then if it's good, I can get it. If it's not, then I'm not wasting my time.
so the first actual thing I remember having in my collection, I still do have it, is I think it was the trade paperback of Ultimate Spider-Man, the collection of the first issues of Miles Morales' Spider-Man
Mm.
in like a graphic novel form. I got that from a book fair, I think, in middle school. Yeah. Uh, and I still have it. Granted, I don't think it is as good as I might have to reread it again. But yeah, that's technically how I first started my comic collection. And then I just started going to this one comic book shop by a movie theater I go to. Um, and I just started collecting comics. I got uh, Well, I have enough to probably where I have to open up another file drawer.
Mm. I never had a local shop of my own. I got most of mine off of like eBay and online and various different ways.
I guess I was
And
lucky.
when Amazon came around, that became a godsend because I could finally get trades of all of my favorite storylines and stuff.
Yeah, stuff I got off of Amazon were Yu-Gi-Oh cards because I collected those when I was a kid too.
Yeah, I had a bunch of those. I still have a book of them somewhere. It's like
I
an
actually
entire
probably should
collection.
try and sell them, get some money out of them.
Hmm.
Right. So I guess we're kind of on to the last topic, which will probably be the last topic of all our streams from now on, which will be recommendations of comics.
Recommendations.
Yes, and unfortunately,
Um,
and like this will be probably stated. Unfortunately, we don't have. It's again just me and Dalton recommending stuff to ourselves.
mhm.
Uh, okay, so Don, would you like to start off?
Okay. I feel bad now because I don't remember the series that these books belong to, but there is a series um from I think the Golden Age, it might be the Silver Age, which is the Phantom Stranger and Doctor 13. I think it was Showcase that was
Okay,
this sub series. You can get them all in like trades and stuff now. It's really good.
all right,
Um, what the interesting thing is, of course, the Phantom Stranger is an ancient mystical entity, and Doctor 13 is a scientist. And for a lot of the early ones, there's the clashing of, well, I don't believe this exists. Well, I can confirm by my very existence that this exists, and so on and so forth. Um, Also, Neil Gaiman's Books of Magic. I don't know if I've recommended that one yet, but if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it, especially if you want to get into the mystical or occult side of the DC universe. It's a very good way of kind of giving yourself the rundown of all of the elements of it.
okay. Anything else?
Um, I can think of a couple more, but I probably should save some for the next couple times we do this.
All right,
So you go.
all right. So, uh, well, probably okay. So, really, here's how we do recommendations, which is pretty much we recommend comics we think are good from any era. Could be modern, it could be past, whatever, whatever we think is good. So for me, I would probably, damn, I can't remember if I recommended this or not, but I want to say Project Superpowers. I think I recommended that at the first stream.
Yeah, I believe you did. I remember you talking about it.
Okay, well then I can't recommend that again. Uh, it's been a while since I've been to the comic store, so forgive me if I'm a little hazy with comics right now, at the moment. Uh, yeah, I thought I had something. Huh. Okay, so I know IDW at the moment kind of sucks, or it did suck. Well, either way, so the first, I don't know how many volumes it's at now, but it has like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like it's been doing really well with the stuff. I don't know if it's been doing well now, but when it first came out, I think the well, I got the first volume so far. It's great art. It kind of modernizes the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It tells a really good story. Um,
Oh, I thought of another one I can recommend that I haven't yet.
okay.
I obviously recommended Sandman till the cows come home a lot of times, but for the character history before Neil Gaiman got onto it. I highly recommend Sandman Midnight Theater, which is a sort of a modern sort of graphic novel like retelling of the early adventures of Wesley Dobbs, who is
The original Sandman.
the first human Sandman
Okay.
after Dream got captured. And at one point in Midnight Theater, after Gaiman introduced everything, obviously, there was actually a single issue where they crossed over for a brief period, and that was nice. So
Right.
if you're looking for sort of the ins and outs of the Sandman mythos and you've read all of the Gaiman stuff, then I highly recommend um, Sandman Midnight Theater. And also, in terms of spin-offs of the Sandman that you might not have read, highly recommend Death, The High Cost of Living. It's a series that Gaiman gave to Death, who is, of course, Dream's sister, and it's a really good standalone story.
Right. Okay, I think I got one now. Damn it. I lost it. Give me a second.
faulty human memory.
Yeah. I also got tackled once while playing football, so my head's a little meh.
Well, that's what you get for playing sports when you're a nerd.
It was part of gym.
I stand by my statement. You could have found a way out of it.
Worst part was that we weren't wearing helmets.
Okay, so I'm counting at least 3 layers of stupid and counting.
Hey, blame the teacher, all right?
Yeah, no, I am. I'm just saying that's at least 3 layers of stupid and counting.
Yeah. Okay. God damn it! I had it. I want to say something by Jeff Johns, but I've never actually read much of his work. I want. Okay, so a lot of stuff from Alterna, obviously, because I think they've more focused on merit than pushing an agenda, unlike other companies.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something from Image, but honestly, I don't think there's anything good at Image right now. Unless you count Eric Larson's Savage Dragon, if you like that.
Somewhere corrupt, his ears are burning because he is the only one that cares about Savage Dragon because of the cringe factor. In terms of like independent comics, I don't know which company it's by, and that's annoying me, but there's a series called Shadow Man that I just recently got into.
Valiant, yeah.
And yeah, and it's pretty good. It's
Well, I would also recommend something from Valiant, which I don't know if it's still going on, but it's called Ninjak. Basically, if James Bond was a superhero / ninja.
implying that he wasn't already? What heresy is this?
Okay, no, well, but it's a really good series. I would recommend Faith, but I might have to reread that series to see if it's bad or not. At the first series. I don't know about Exo Man of War because I never really checked that out. Their Book of Death stuff, which was pretty interesting. I don't know if that's still out or not, or if they put that together for like a novel or something. Oh, right. The thing I was going to mention before was Dick Tracy from IDW. It was a good comic. I don't know if I mentioned that before or not.
I don't know if you did, but
I will recommend it again because it is a good series, and even though I still am only on issue 2.
Yeah, Dick Tracy in general is good. If you're running out of modern comics to read pulp stuff, especially Solomon Kane, Elric of Melbourne, and
it's very interesting because it technically takes Dick Tracy into a more modern setting with like different rules and stuff. Well, okay, it's more like Dick Tracy is like a Superman as a cop, but he has to deal with like basically what BVS tried to do, I think, with like the political stuff.
Right. Yep.
What else? That's pretty much all I can think of for my recommendations.
If anyone hasn't read the original Tales from the Crypt comics, I would recommend those. I don't know if I've recommended those yet.
I don't think you have. Well, okay, maybe I think maybe either the first stream or last stream.
I don't remember if I did recommend those, but if you like Tales from the Crypt the show, you'll probably like the comics.
I want to say like the original Young Justice comics, but I have not read those. I've heard good things about them, but I've not read them.
Best not to recommend until you've read, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Because who knows, you might be the one person who thinks they're all shit, and then you've gone and recommended something that you think is shit.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my recommendation list, which is Alternative Comics, IDW Dick Tracy, IDW TMNT, Project Superpowers. I'll recommend that again. That's pretty much it. Dalton?
Yeah, like I said, I have a couple more, but I think I will save them for next time so that I actually have
hopefully we'll also add hopefully we will also add more. Hopefully our guests will stick around to add to theirs.
And add their voices to the discussion. It seems like every time, whether we have other guests or not, it's just we end up being alone by this part.
Yeah. It's almost like the universe is trying to tell us something.
I can't imagine what that is.
Yeah, me neither. Probably not going to listen.
The universe is going to have to be clearer and speak relative English in order to get what it wants from us in this case, I think.
Yeah.
We
All right.
don't speak Eldred universal coincidence. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so well, I guess it's been our stream. Thanks to everyone who has watched or maybe is still watching.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Eric in the chat. Usually he chimes in more often, so I'm assuming that Eric maybe left when E and Nerd dropped.
I think he did when Nerd dropped, because I didn't see anything after that. All right, so well, thank you all for watching, and see you next Sunday.
Yep. Cheers, guys.